Hello and welcome to the news here on Magic Bricks Now, India's first property business channel. I'm Krishna Kumar. Let's take a look at the top stories that we're tracking. You heard it here first. The Shapoorji Pallonji Group is venturing into affordable housing with its new brand, Joyville. Remember, Magic Bricks Now had reported this on Monday, and today we get you all the details of the company's brand new venture. Home loan demand from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities powers HDFC's profits. The country's biggest home finance company reported a 6% growth in net profits in the third quarter, with the loan book growing by over 12%. India's Silicon Valley number Bengaluru is also one of its most flood-prone cities, and IT hubs like Whitefield are the areas most at risk, says data from Indian Institute of Science. Mumbai, Bengaluru and Pune are the cities that investors are betting on in 2016, finds a JLL Risk report. Investors are also betting big money in middle-income housing, office space and offices built for the IT sector. Also on the show, an exclusive conversation with a very reclusive Padma Bhushan Hafiz contractor. Now, before we take a look at all that, here's the top story of the day coming in as we speak on the smart city front. And the wait is finally over. The Urban Development Minister, Venkaiah Naidu, will announce the chosen 20 tomorrow at 3 p.m. Magic Bricks Now will get you a ringside seat to all the action, and you don't want to miss that. Now remember, as many as 98 cities are in the race to secure funding in the first round of the Smart Cities Challenge. The chosen 20 from the first round will get 200 crore rupees in the first year from the government, followed by 100 crore rupees each year for the next 3 years. The remaining cities will be asked to address deficiencies before participating in the second and third rounds of the challenge. And on that note, on to the big Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Builders of palaces in Mumbai's most recognized landmarks, Shapoorji Pallonji, have announced their affordable housing brand Joyville. The company plans to make 20,000 small homes across 7 cities. The homes will range from 20 lakh rupees to 65 lakh rupees. Remember, Magic Bricks Now's Disha Shah had already brought you the story earlier this week, and she joins me right now with more details. Disha, you broke this story on Monday. Tell us, what more did the management tell you today?
Yes, that's right. In fact, we had early this week first reported here on Magic Bricks Now about Shapoorji Pallonji launching a new brand in the affordable housing space, and today the company has made it official and has announced the new brand, which will be called as Joyville. Over here we are talking about 20,000 homes over the course of 8 years across 7 cities. When we spoke to the top management of Shapoorji Pallonji, they say that the first project will be launched in Howrah in Kolkata, followed by other areas like Vasai Virar, which is situated in the outskirts of Mumbai. Under this brand, homes will cost you from 20 lakh rupee onwards, going up to 45 lakh rupees. But this will be the prices or except in Mumbai, because where in Mumbai homes will cost you starting from 35 lakh rupee onwards, going up to 65 lakh rupees. An interesting thing to note here is that Shapoorji is not the first player to venture into this affordable housing space. They will have a tough fight and competition with other marquee players like Tata Housing and Mahindra Life Spaces, because they have a lot of projects in this space. For example, Mahindra Life Spaces has a project called Happy Nest, where homes are priced from 11 lakh rupee onwards, going up to 20 lakh rupees. And on the other hand, Tata Housing has a project called Heaven, where homes are priced at 17 lakh rupees. Today, earlier during the day, I also caught up with business head Venkatesh Gopal Krishnan of Joyville and asked him about the timeline and the completion of the first phase. So let's listen in.
We should be able to complete our land acquisitions in the next 1.5 years. We already have 3 parcels of land, close to 9 million square feet of development already in the pocket. The balance 11 million square feet of development land acquisition we should complete in the next 1.5 years.
Okay, and what about the second phase? When can we see that?
Starting from Howrah right now, over the next 2 years, we'll soon start thinking about our second phase, because we are going to scale up this business and we are going to have a long-term view. So the second phase land acquisition will start maybe 1.5 years down the line, and once we are halfway completing the first phase, we will start launching the second phase. So there will be an overlap between the various phases of the business plans.
Okay, and what kind of revenue and earnings are you expecting to, from this brand?
Sure. I think 20 million square feet, we are broadly looking at about 9 to 10,000 crores of top line. We're looking at a gross margin of 30%. We have investors in this venture, so we're looking at a 20 to 23% internal rate of return.
So are you also tying up with the government for Housing for All mission?
We will have strategic tie-ups with the government. The tie-ups could be in terms of talking to specific state governments for land, which they can provide us to help our business plan, and which will align with their plan also.
Apart from this affordable housing, any other companies' expansion plans?
And now we would want to aim to have 65% residential and 35% commercial. So we will continue to push on our luxury residential plans. We will continue to push on the middle to high end plans in the top 6 cities for residential. Apart from that, I think we will focus on building grade A office space. We actually built a lot of grade A office space and we have a lot of space leased out. But because the market went slow, we went slow on developing new grade A office space. So I think we will continue to focus on that.
Shapoorji Pallonji, which is launching a new brand under the affordable housing segment. Under the new brand, the company aims to build 20,000 homes over the course of 8 years in top 7 cities.
We are planning to build 20,000 homes across the country. We are looking at geographies such as Mumbai, Pune, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, Chennai, NCR and Kolkata in the first phase. We are going to complete the land acquisitions in the next 1.5 years and complete the development of 20 million square feet in the next 7 years.
On to the other big story that we're tracking over here. Small homes have powered the profits of the country's biggest home loan company as well. HDFC Limited reported its third quarter numbers today, and the company's profits grew over 6%, driven largely by home loan demand from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
So we saw growth in all segments. It was largely in the construction finance segments. You see, these loans get dispersed when projects come up to a certain level, a certain stage. So part of it was construction finance, part of it was lease rental discounting.
Amita Balachandra was at that earnings call of HDFC and she met up with the management and sent us his report earlier today. Take a look.
That's right, the country's largest mortgage lender, HDFC's results are out and the numbers look quite interesting there. What's interesting to note is that the company's overall growth has been propelled by its individual loan growth, which is mostly driven by Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, and the company's average ticket size now stands at about 25 lakh rupees. What's also interesting to note is that the company's non-individual loan growth was also up as against last quarter. Its individual loan growth stood at about 23%. The company's net profit has also risen up 9% as against last quarter. What's also interesting is that the company's net profit now after tax stands at about 4,486 crore rupees.
Away from that earnings number to an interesting number, India has improved its ranking on the 2015 Corruption Perceptions Index or CPI released by Transparency International. India ranked at 76 this year, a leg up from 2014's rank of 85. However, India's score remains unchanged at 38. An increase in public outrage against corruption could be attributed towards the improved ranking. Indian leaders, however, are falling short of their bold promises, adds the report. The Corruption Index measures the perceived level of public sector corruption across the globe. It is scored on a scale of 0 to 100, where higher the points, lower the corruption in that country. The least corrupt country in the world is Denmark, followed by Finland at number 2 and Sweden at number 3. Now, so it looks like ease of doing business is improving in the country. Let's talk investments now. We had told you earlier that PE investors pumped in over $5 billion into real estate in 2015, and now a survey on investors' expectations from the sector in 2016 has been released by JLL, India and RICS. So what is the outlook for 2016? Will there be more investments? More importantly, what can we as retail investors and home buyers learn from the big boys? My colleague Rukmani Krishna is standing by with all those details. Rukmani, tell us what exactly are investors betting on for the year 2016?
Well, the survey clearly indicates that the big boys are betting big on the Mumbai, Bengaluru and the Pune markets. And they will also be putting their money into office spaces, mid-income housing and offices built for ITES spaces this year. Now, talking about the survey, the investors do expect the sales to increase, with 66% of the investors anticipating an increase in sales. Moving on, refinancing will also continue to be a trend this year. Also, when we talk about exits, the investors do feel that, this year there will be more number of successful exits in comparison to last year, and that there will also be an increase when it comes to consolidation. Talking about equity investors right now, a majority, 71% of the investors feel that there will be more number of pure equity investments going ahead this year. Now, they're also expecting a lot of investments to come in from Asian, countries like Japan and China as well. And lastly, when they were asked about the affordable housing market and the government's ambitious Housing for All 2022 project, the investors have said that due to low profitability and a higher time to market, the affordable housing market at this point in time is, pretty much not viable as an investment. To conclude the report basically says that the investor sentiment has definitely changed and that 2016 is going to be much better in comparison to 2015 for the real estate sector.
2016 is set to be better than 2015 is the word coming in. Thank you, Rukmani, for that. And we need to get a better perspective on this matter. And that's why I'm being joined by Sunil Agrawal, the director at RICS, joining us here on the news. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us over here on Magic Bricks. Now, tell us, how are you gauging the investor sentiment towards Indian real estate? Last year, we saw a record $5 billion being invested in the sector. Could we expect an increase in funding in 2016?
My answer to your question is going to be a little muted, because last year we saw a lot of refinancing of a lot of debts or private equity investments that were there. I don't see a lot of refinancing happening this year, and its own, I think the sentiment globally is not very good. But India still is an attractive destination, because given the fact that China is down and so are commodity prices, so is oil, Indian real estate for a long term can still be a good bet. So I would say if flows are not increased, they will at least be maintained at a similar level. But since 70% went to refinancing, I would just take it with a little bit of pinch of salt if the funding remains as robust.
Neil, till date, most of the investments that have come in has been for around 3 years and has been skewed towards debt. Are you expecting this to change, or at least begin changing in 2016?
I think there is going to be a paradigm shift in 2016. And the reason for that paradigm shift is that a lot of debt heavy investors are realizing that it is becoming increasingly difficult for the promoter to service the debt. And you've seen a lot of litigations now in the court. So we are going to see debt heavy investors either trying to shorten the cycle of 3 years and will be very selective in debt lending. But the trend that I see in 2016 is that private equity is going to come back in a big way, because a lot of players who have entered the market are also very long-term players which have deep pockets. So we see that a lot of these players are going to go back to private equity, or they are going to continue in investing on stabilized assets like leased out office space. So you would see return of private equity in some sort of a manner in 2016.
Sunil, I wanted to ask you this. Currently, there's a lot of volatility affecting global markets led by China. Tell us, do you think this volatility will have an impact on investments coming into real estate here in India?
I think they will have some impact, and that impact is only positive as far as I read it, because when you have global markets that are volatile, people go to two asset classes. They end up buying gold, and you can see some signs of gold actually showing some signs of shine in the last couple of weeks. Also, real estate long-term bets increase, and I think India is a long-term market and those bets will increase. So, volatility in the markets is going to benefit India in the long term.
All right, Sunil, before I let you go, tell us, as a retail investor, what should be my key takeaway from this survey? How should I take my investments forward?
I think as a retail investor, a couple of things that I would like to suggest. One is that if you're a retail investor, stay away from suburban locations. A lot of people have invested into suburban locations, then they've seen that projects are either not delivered or they have taken a long time for price rises to happen, and they've been stuck. So there are prime assets today, which are not suburban, but they are, if not city-centric, somewhere in the middle fringe. Even if they are a little more expensive, reduce the size of your holding, but those assets are available cheap. At least if you are an investor in real estate, please invest in them. If you're a short-term investor in real estate, I would rather suggest that if you can find an exit and go back to mutual funds. I would really not suggest a short-term investor to stay put in real estate, especially on the fringe areas. So for a long-term, real estate is a good bet. Prime assets are available still at a 20, 25, 30% discount. And if you see the buying that's happened in the corporate real estate currently, a lot of people, large corporates have bought real estate, Abbott Laboratories, and there are a host of other banks that are buying real estate at this time.
Sunil Agrawal, Director at RICS, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the news on Magic Bricks Now. Moving away from all that and on to French President François Hollande, in his ongoing visit to India, has agreed to provide technical and financial help to develop Puducherry, Chandigarh and Nagpur as smart cities. The agreements were drafted by Agence Française de Développement, the French bilateral development finance agency. The AFD agreement is not a part of the smart city mission of the government of India. The deal is part of an earlier Indo-bilateral cooperation agreement where French authorities would concentrate on the development of Puducherry, Nagpur and Chandigarh. Also, Puducherry gets a fallback cushion so that even if it fails to qualify for the smart cities shortlist, it will get support for development. France will provide experts for up to 3 years to Puducherry to assist in sustainable urban development, such as integrated development and urban planning, urban transport, water and waste management, architecture and heritage, renewable energy and energy efficiency. AFD has pledged a loan of 2 billion euros over the next 3 years to support smart city development in these 3 cities. On to the other big story that we're tracking over here. India's Silicon Valley, Bengaluru is among the most flood-prone cities in the country. What's more, IT hubs like Whitefield, which are powering the city's growth, are at maximum risk. Ironically, this propensity to flood has increased because of the city's water bodies shrinking. These are the key findings of a recent study by the Indian Institute of Science. Amita Balachandra, who tracks the Bengaluru market, gets us this report.
IT hubs in Bengaluru are also the most flood-prone areas, says a recent study conducted by the Indian Institute of Science. In fact, if you take a look at the numbers there, over the last decade, Bangalore has seen an 85% decrease in its wetlands. In fact, of the remaining lakes, 98% of them have been encroached and 90% of them have been sewage-fed, are polluted. And interestingly, most of the polluted lakes lie in and around IT hubs in Bengaluru. In fact, if you take a look at the list there, there's Agra Lake, there's Vartur Lake, which is near Whitefield, Bellalur Lake, which is also one of the most polluted lakes, KR-Puram Lake, Hulimau Lake. All of these lakes are in and around IT concentrated areas, and the major reason for this is dumping of construction debris, dumping of sewage in these lakes from industries, from construction, from residential complexes. Also, there's pollution leading from vehicular emissions, of course. And all of these things have not only made Bangalore unlivable, but also prone to floods.
And to understand that better, we have a very special guest joining us here on the News and Magic Bricks Now, Mr. T.V. Ramachandra, Professor at Indian Institute of Science, joining us on the phone line from Bengaluru. Mr. Ramachandra, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. Amita was just telling us about how bad the situation is when it comes to the city's lake beds. Would you say then that the city has become unlivable?
Okay, thank you for calling me. Yes, I have been working on the lakes and Bangalore. In fact, we have looked at the urbanization of Bangalore and the implications of unplanned urbanization in Bangalore. See, our study shows that 925% increase in the concrete area, and we have lost the vegetation to the order of about 78%, and also the water body 79%. Coupled to this, there is an increase in the pollution levels in the air. So the pollution of air, pollution of water, pollution of the environment has made Bangalore unlivable city. So it is actually the future of our children is at stake now. They are consuming the contaminated water and air. Of course, we are also consuming that. And as per the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, we have the right to live. But now our right has been threatened because of this contaminated air and water. The government needs to do something immediately to control the situation.
Mr. Ramachandran, that's where exactly I was going to arrive at when it comes to my next question. Tell us, you tell us, what are the possible solutions to tackle this dire situation then?
See, as already reported, 98% of our lakes have been encroached and 90% of the lakes have been sewage fed. You see, the sewage is let only with the intention to encroach the lake. First, the moment the sewage is let into the lake, the local people stop using the lake because of the smell and other related mosquito problems, etc. Then, subsequently, when people stop using the lake, then these encroachers start filling the lake with the building debris and solid waste. Now, go to any lake in Bangalore, there is a large-scale dumping of solid waste and the building debris is happening. And also, our study clearly tells that behind every encroachment of lake in Bangalore, there is a politician behind it.
All right. So dumping of solid waste and all kinds of waste into lakes will be step one when it comes to fixing the unlivable situation that Bengaluru is facing, is the word coming in from Professor T.V. Ramachandran of Indian Institute of Science. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the news on Magic Breaks Now. Moving on from that, he is India's star architect. Builders use his name to sell homes. He has created entire skylines and made offices that house some of the country's biggest blue-chip companies. What's more, his repertoire extends to airports and railway stations as well, and he has just been awarded the Padma Bhushan. Ruchi Deshpande caught up with master architect Hafiz Contractor earlier today. Listening to this Magic Breaks Now exclusive.
This is one of the highest awards, and I'm really, really happy, thankful to everyone who selected me, to everyone who helped me achieve this, people who work for me, people who gave me jobs, and people who helped me. That's it.
Okay, if we talk about the government's aim for housing for all by 2022, from a layperson's point of view, it's assembly line of housing. So if you had to clarify that can that system be easily replicated? Is it achievable?
See, ours is a country where we have democracy and we have several parties. We have lots of laws, and it's not like that, somebody says and it can be done overnight. But the very fact that this government has started on this, and the very fact that this is the first time that a lot of emphasis is given to urban areas, urban housing, I think that's itself is a great move. And to realize that so many people are going to come to the cities in the next so many years, and to plan for it, I think is a good start. Whether we are going to achieve it, I feel, and I also feel that yes, we will definitely achieve it. But let us start. Let's not just criticize and say that, it is never going to be achieved, it is never going to be done. I'm very, very bullish about it, and I feel that this is the right move. We have to plan for millions of houses, and which are small houses. We have to see how we are going to change our cities. And one very big question today is how, when we are going to take up all this kind of large development, how we are going to take care of the environment. Nowhere in the world such huge development is going to come about in so many years. So I feel that I feel that it's a good start and we'll have a good ending.
And with that, we have completely run out of time here on this edition of the news on Magic Bricks. Now, thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.